All right. Good morning, Chiefs. Again, my name is Master Sergeant Campbell, Kiana Campbell, here down at Randolph. And this is our second series with the Chiefs, the Sisterhood Chiefs chit chat panel. So this I'm going to switch it up a little bit. And so we are going to have a live Q&A. We also will be on Facebook Live. So we have our moderator, Master Sergeant Amanda LaVan, who is the superintendent of the casualty section down at AFPC, who will be assisting with the Q&A on the live side, on the Facebook Live portion. So if anyone is viewing this on Facebook Live, please go ahead and type your questions in if you have a question for one of these chiefs, and then we will read it out loud up here if we get to it. I've also been working with Senior Master Sergeant Lakeisha Shannon from Aviano Air Base, who was able to get us, I want to say it's like close to 5 or 6 airmen, but between the ranks of A1C and Senior Airmen, I believe, who also will be asking questions, but we will be able to see them on this webinar portion of Zoom. So before we get into this Q&A session, I want to introduce each chief. So when you all come up, you all can just say who you are, where you work, your background, and kind of anything, if you have a female chief story, anything that comes to mind that you all would like to share, we're going to go ahead and put that out. So we'll start with Chief Master Sergeant Timmerman. Can't hear you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Appreciate it. So I am Chief Master Sergeant Tracy Timmerman, as you said. I am currently stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base, awaiting PCS to AETC. So with the current COVID, I'm sort of in between stations waiting. So I should be there in July. This will be my ninth base. So I lose track. So I started out in 1995 as a dependent. I was stationed at RAF Lakenheath with my husband, and decided after about 1.5 years of being there that I wanted to join the military. I think just seeing so many strong, independent women in uniform just really kind of turned me on. It was something that I was like, hey, this is definitely something that I want to do and I think I can do. I was going to do it for 4 years, and 25 years later, I'm still here. So absolutely love it. I couldn't think of anything better. It's definitely my passion. I've been in a recruiting squadron, not a recruiter, but a personnelist. I'm a personnelist. I've been a personnelist for 25 years. I've been in a NATO base at Galenkirchen. So I always tell the airmen, make sure that you're watching your Equal Plus, because there's some really neat assignments that show up on the Equal Plus, and that's where I found that. A joint job in Alaska, and I just left a 365 at LUD in Qatar. So I think I've had a pretty diverse background and absolutely love it. I'm sad that I'm at 25 years, sad there's only 5 more to go. So unfortunately, I could serve for my whole lifetime.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Chief. All right, Chief Mueller. Good morning, ma'am.
Hi, good morning for you all. Good afternoon for me.
Yeah.
I'm currently sitting as the Integrated Resilience DIB Chief, Chief Enlisted Manager for A1Z over in the headquarters USAFEF Africa. I've been sitting here for probably since September. I originally came in 2000 as an information manager apprentice. And it's funny because I never would have thought in a million years that I would have even made the rank of Chief Master Sergeant when I came in 2000. And for 4 years as well, and just trying to get some college work done. And 20 years later, here I am. I really enjoyed it. This is my 9th base, married to an awesome man. He's a Senior Master Sergeant over in the CE Squadron over here, soon to be the Silver Flag Superintendent. We have 2 beautiful girls. They drive me crazy, but I love them. They definitely keep me on my toes. But I currently am serving as the Integrated Resilience Chief Enlisted Manager, but I'm also the Equal Opportunity Functional Manager. In 2010, when I made Tech Sergeant, I was forced to cross train, and I joined the Equal Opportunity Career Field. And for the Air Force, we are the only branch of service that has EO as an actual AFSC. All of the other branches of service have them as additional duties for senior NCOs. And so, yeah, I'm super honored to be here, and hope to be able to gain some insight from my fellow sister chiefs, and hope to be able to provide some perspective.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. All right, Chief Blair.
Good morning. I'm Chief Master Sergeant Karen Blair, and just like others, I am sort of in between. I'm about to leave on a 365. So right now, just like everybody else, kind of waiting and seeing where I'm needed. My background is in Intel. I joined in 1995. Just a story I'd like to tell. It's not a female chief, but it's really when I realized that some things were different. I had a mentor. He was actually my AETC instructor, and we have a small career field, so I'd seen him lots of times, and I was a tech sergeant at the time, and I pulled out my wallet, and my wallet was blue with pink flowers, and he said, "Wow, that's really girly. I didn't know you were girly." And it made me realize that I was being two different people, because I am girly and I like pink. I'm also a chief, and you know, I can do things that need to be done when they need to be done. So really, that's when I realized that I could share who I was with everybody.
That's a good one. Thank you so much, ma'am. All right, Chief Castro. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. This is such a great opportunity.
Thank you,
So I came in 1994. This is my 10th base. I'm currently the group superintendent at the Med Group at Maxwell Air Force Base. And prior to that, I was at Nellis, kind of a colorful career field for me, or career-wise. I'm a 4AO by trade, a healthcare administrator, but I've done numerous jobs. I've worked at Air Staff and with Joint Staff. I've been a Command Chief's exec. I've done protocol, and I've been a general's exec, as well as the Surgeon General executive assistant as well. So done quite a few things. I think that's the best part about the Air Force, is that we have so many opportunities to kind of dabble in whatever interests we have. Early in my career, I had the opportunity to work with two amazing female chiefs, Chief Aliquippa Allen, who was the command chief at Keesler at the time, and Chief Deidre Moore, who was the Med Group superintendent at Keesler. And I had the opportunity of surviving Hurricane Katrina with them. And so they had a huge impact on my career, as well as other female chiefs. So I think I've been very blessed in that opportunity, that I've been able to get wisdom and knowledge from not only male chiefs, but female chiefs as well. And we are kind of the unicorn. And so it's awesome that you're doing this and showing others that we're here, and we're happy to be of assistance. And I'm excited to be here. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So we have a returner this morning, Chief Whitlow. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. How are you all? I can't hear you. Say again.
I just was saying good morning, and I'm doing well.
Chief Whitlow, currently stationed at Vance Air Force Base. I am currently sitting as the Mission Support Group Superintendent. Came in December 1996. This is my 8th or 9th assignment. I really can't remember. Single parent, majority of my career. I have 3 kids, 22, 21, and 12. And Chief Timmerman, I remember you from Gallagher. I was stationed at Spangdahlem, and we came there for a staff. So that just shows how small the Air Force is. At that time, I was married for that short stint, so my last name was Boyd. But anyway, so I'm happy to be here. Glad this is my second chance to be here with you all, ladies. Chief Blair, yes, I am Team Pink too. And I'm ready to rock and roll. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. So this time around, again, for anyone who is just joining us, we were fortunate enough to get some airmen from Aviano Air Base who are attendees on this Zoom webinar. So we will call them up one by one. And in the meantime, if you have any questions for the chiefs, if you're watching this Facebook Live, please type in your questions, and our moderator, Master Sergeant LaVan, will send it over to us, and we will go between the airmen asking questions and our live questions. Okay, so we'll start with our airmen first. Let's start with Airman Hicks. So as she's coming up, I'm gonna read her question to you all, Chiefs. It says, from where you are located, how do you connect back with family members, especially now with COVID-19? So there is Airman Hicks. How are you doing this morning?
Good, ma'am. I'm great. Nice
Good,
to meet all
good.
of you.
All right. So any of the chiefs, if you all want to take a stab at this for Airman Hicks.
If you mind, I'll start. That's okay. So I'm actually, I'm from Alabama. So my hometown is about 2 hours from Maxwell. And of course, since COVID, haven't been able to get there. But I have 9 siblings, and something that we do on Saturday, every Saturday we've done since COVID, is do a Zoom kind of get together. And it is like the highlight of everyone's week. It's been amazing. I highly recommend it. My aunt, who lives in Florida, is 80 years old, and she gets on with us too. So it's pretty awesome. So that's how I've been connecting with family since COVID.
So one more chief.
Yes, I pretty much call everyone, if not every day, every other day. I've wrestled my mama to get on WhatsApp so I can video chat her because she refuses to get an iPhone. So I get to lay eyes on her and see her and, get on her nerves as well. She lives in Alaska, by the way. And yes, I irritate my brothers and my sister on a every other day basis, but that's my way of making sure everybody's good and so forth. And I also talk to my dad and his wife about every 3 days because they're still working full time to make sure they're good and all that. So just phone calls because they won't do Facebook.
So Airman Hicks, what do you currently do?
I currently am doing a book reading club with my grandma at the moment. So every at the end of the month, we read a book. Like right now, we're doing The Woman Who Smashed All the Codes, which is a book based in World War II, where she literally smashed all the codes for the spies that were trying to infiltrate us.
Wow, that's amazing. So how do you keep in touch with your parents?
That's a little bit harder, especially with them being stateside. I definitely try to get at least one call in a week. I call my brother more though, because he has more free time, especially right now with doing school online.
Okay. So for those of you all who don't know, Airman Hicks is the daughter of Chief Master Sergeant Nicole Hicks, who was a part of our panel group last week. And her father is a first sergeant as well down at JBSA Lackland. So I definitely appreciate you joining us today, ma'am. Did you have any follow-up questions for the Chiefs?
No, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, let's go to our next one. Airman Rios. So while she is coming up, Airman Rios asks, what are some opportunities that you have discovered during your career that you would recommend taking full advantage of? So I'm gonna wait till she comes up. There we go. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. All right, so before Chiefs, before you all answer, and I should have done this with Airman Hicks. My apologies, Airman Hicks. So I know Airman Hicks is a personnelist by trade, and she works at the NPF down in Aviano. So Airman Rios, what's your job?
So I'm also a personnelist. I'm customer support down here at Aviano Air Base as well.
Okay. So let's see, Chief Mueller, would you like to take a stab at that one, ma'am?
All right, some opportunities that I've discovered during my career, really just getting out of my comfort zone and being able to deliberately do something was, I think, was what I discovered, you know, achieving those opportunities and getting those opportunities. And so, like, for example, being a command chief's exec, when I was a command chief's exec, I was provided that opportunity to be able to interact with the senior enlisted leaders within that wing. And it was an amazing opportunity for me because it was kind of eye-opening to see what was going on behind the scenes. But really, any opportunity that is outside of your comfort zone that you can get, I would definitely recommend doing that and taking full advantage of it, just because it'll help you grow as an airman and really as a person.
That's a good one. Chief Timmerman.
Yeah, so I'm going to say the obvious, which is school. So please take advantage of that. So I waited for a while in my career to take advantage of that. And I'm sorry that I waited so long because I'm still working on my master's degree. I'm almost done. But at my age, I should have probably already been finished. So definitely take advantage of that while you're young. It's free. You have nothing to lose. So.
All right, Amarillo, so what opportunities have you been thinking about taking?
So for a couple of opportunities I've already done, I'm part of the Airmen's Council, so that is also taking up my time. I'm also events coordinator for another club here, so that is also giving me a reason to expand out and learn some things along the way. I have been doing school, so that for sure is a goal that I hope to achieve during my time here. I guess I just wanted to know if you guys had discovered some things that wouldn't normally be seen easily as you have to search for it.
As far as what? So when you say that, what do you mean?
I guess for airmen to get out and about as their first duty station, I know getting together is kind of hard when you first come here. Besides clubs, organizations, what are some other things that you felt would also bring more people together without a certain specific topic?
That's a good follow-up question. So Chiefs, anyone want to take a stab at that? Have at it.
I'd like to try. So I definitely say that the biggest opportunity is the people sitting next to you. So many times we look for those things that are hard. Say good morning. Ask what the person next to you is doing, because there's some really great things out there. And getting to know people, it doesn't have to be somebody that works in your career field. We always talk about what a family we are, but people are uncomfortable talking to people they don't know. I'm an introvert by nature. I had to learn to get outside of my comfort zone and say, hi, what are you doing today? Going out to intramural sports and sitting down and starting those conversations, and the opportunities that come from that, of your personal growth, of learning people, knowing what's going on in the Air Force, but also of things that you can do, going out and finding things in your community that there's no way that we could know everything by ourselves. So use those connections and don't be afraid to forge those connections.
Absolutely. That's a good one. Any other Chiefs before we go on? I don't know why I thought Chief Timmerman was pushing her button. That's what I thought she was doing. That was definitely an amazing question and a good follow-up question, Amarios. I think you also doing something like this is kind of putting yourself out there as well. And I know for me, when I was younger airman, I was scared of everything, especially being overseas, because I was stationed at Aviano. So just getting around chiefs, senior NCOs, or even NCOs, let's travel together, because I was a little nervous. But that definitely is a good question. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna take one of the Facebook Live questions. Okay, so this one says, good morning, Chiefs. This is kind of for everyone, but did you give up anything significant to make chief? And if so, was it worth it? That's a really good question.
start. I won't necessarily say for chief, but for senior, I gave up a lot of time with my kids. Like I said, I was a single parent majority of my career field. I was only married for about 6 years. And to make senior, I put in a lot of volunteer time, a lot of long hours, which kept me away from the kids. And I had a deployment again, which kept me away from the kids. So that's what I gave up, time with them. I missed out on a lot of big things. I had 2 older ones that was dealing with prom, high school games, as in football. My daughter's a dancer, so I missed a couple of her dance team stuff. Was it worth it? I'm happy I made chief. Do I trade this rank for the world? No. However, but when I was like, okay, I achieved this goal, I can pull back a little bit. And then I started dedicating more time towards my kids, even though, yes, I did miss certain things, but we're making up for it now. Like my 21-year-old is here with me now, and we're just forging new memories now. So when you're going for these ranks, remember, I will say that when you retire, because you will hang this up, you do want your family at your retirement ceremony. You don't want to be that person where it's just you and your family has written you off because you put all this promotion in the Air Force first and everything else. So just put that into perspective when you're going for it. I missed out on time. Will I trade it? No, but I'm definitely like making up for it and letting them know that, I love you and I'm doing this for you because it's better for us in the end.
So with you all, the ones who, even if you don't have children, if you have families, if you have your significant others, did you all have to like come up with a schedule? So I know one of my mentors, I saw her when it was her daughter's basketball season. It was like she asked her daughter like specifically which games were the most important. And so if there were certain things that she had to miss, certain games, it was that having that conversation up front for expectation management. Did you all have to do those kind of things to kind of like help with the compromise so you didn't feel as much guilt? And even with your significant others, like saying, okay, once a month, this is just our time or whatever day or whatever. How did you all do that? Do you wish you did that?
I'll go ahead and answer that. Like I said, I'm dual military, and my husband and I, if I was taking college classes, he was taking care of making sure that the kids were good to go. If he was taking college classes, or both of us were studying for rank, we would just kind of alternate. And so if he needed to focus on what he needed to do, then I would pause and make sure that the home front was taken care of, and ensuring that I wasn't overtaxing myself at work either, so that he could focus on him. And he did the same for me. I was able to focus on me and my career, and he put more of a focus on the family and the home. And so that we kind of balanced each other out with that. And I'm extremely grateful that we were able to have that. But same with the time with the kids is one of the things that I missed when I was a master sergeant. That was probably the hardest one because I missed so much. But thankfully he was there to kind of help balance that out. And then now I'm able to have a lot more time with them, which I'm super grateful for. So.
Good one. I'm going to take one more for Facebook Live before we go back to our Airmen guest. Okay, this one is for Chief Blair. Chief Blair, what do you think about this new push for intel bodies getting pressured to move to USSF? I'm assuming that's the Space Force.
The Space Force has a really important mission. The Air Force has a really important mission. Everybody has different talents and where your talents are most used. I hope people aren't feeling pressure. I hope people are feeling opportunity. The opportunity might not be right for you, or you might need more answers to your questions. Pressure, hopefully, if you are feeling pressure, use it and to ask the questions to find out if it's right for you. This is not, obviously, everybody is not going to be able to go. I think that we're seeing a whole lot of messages everywhere about it. That's designed to get you the information you need to make a wise decision. It's not designed to pressure you into something that's not right. So if you're feeling that pressure, please speak up and let us know.
Understood. Okay, that was a quick one. We'll do one more. This is for anyone. What have you done intentionally in your career to put you in a position to achieve your goals within the Air Force? I'll read one more time. What have you done intentionally in your career to put you in a position to achieve your goals within the Air Force? Chief Castro, can you answer that one, ma'am? I don't know if she heard me. Chief Castro?
I'm sorry, you were cutting out, so I didn't hear the question.
No worries. It says, what have you done intentionally in your career to put you in a position to achieve your goals within the Air Force? It might be me. If any other chiefs want to chime in, I don't know if her feed is delayed.
I can chime in while we're waiting for her. So as a personnelist, I've been a personnelist for 25 years. So worked in the MPF and other jobs. So I made sure that I was very diverse in my job. So I moved around quite a bit so that I could learn as much as possible. I also took different types of jobs so that I could sort of get a broad range of experience and knowledge by taking a joint job or going to a NATO base or a recruiting squadron. So I was very intentional about that from early on. So I had a really good supervisor as a brand new airman. And that was something that they made sure that they talked to me about, was making sure that I got as much information as possible in our career field by moving around and not staying stagnant.
Chief Castro, I see you're back with us, ma'am. Did you want to respond on that one? Oh, looks like she's up there twice. Let's see.
Make sure I'm not.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, sorry. What was the question again? Because I totally got.
No worries. Yes, ma'am. What have you done intentionally in your career to put you in a position to achieve your goals within the Air Force?
So once again, I'm going back to education. I came in the Air Force basically because I was a full-time student and working full-time. And I was tired of paying out of pocket for school. So I came in with the goal of finishing up my degree. So got my associates, working my bachelor's, got my master's done, started a PhD. And I think those things gave me opportunities in other areas. So having the opportunity to work with the Joint Staff, I think having that education background kind of set me up for those. So I think getting your education will open up doors for you.
Yes, ma'am. Good answer. And now we're going to go back to our Airmen panel. All right, Senior Airman Butler. That's why he's coming up. His question is, how do you encourage personal development for airmen? What types of development do you practice? So before you all answer, Airman Butler, thank you for joining us. Can't hear you.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So can you tell us where you work? What's your AFSC, what's your job, where you are?
Here at Aviano, I work in the comm squadron. My career field's kind of broad, but right now I manage long haul communication to make sure that Aviano can talk to other bases and commercial companies.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. All right, so Chiefs, I'll read his question one more time. How do you encourage personal development for airmen? And what types of development do you practice?
I'll take a stab at that one first. So the way that I encourage them for personal development is to find out what their why is, you know, what exactly do they want to do? Why do they want to do it? And I always encourage the type of personal development where you can grow as a person, and where you can understand others and others' perceptions. So for me, self-reflection and self-awareness are huge to me, especially in my profession. So the types of development that I practice myself is my own personal growth, and self-awareness and trying to understand others' perspectives and understanding. And so that's, I always encourage for airmen, you know, figure out what you want to do and then go after it and do it. And so yeah, and I'm still learning, always learning.
Airman Butler, is there anything that you have like tried? I've tried a couple of different things while being in this social distancing space. Is there anything in particular that you've tried to do?
Yeah, so specifically while everything's been going on and we haven't been at work as much, I've had a lot more time at home. And so I started reading more. I'm going to school. My wife's also going to school, so that takes up quite a bit of our time together. And then we have a couple of dogs that we try to get out and walk. It's been a little on and off whether we're allowed outside here, but right now we are. And then I'm actually during this time I've started doing yoga, which wasn't something I'd done before, but it's actually been very beneficial.
That's really good. Did you have any follow-up questions for the Chiefs?
Just specifically what types of personal development, if anybody wanted to talk about what you do or what you encourage others to do.
I'll take that. I encourage others to read. I love to read. I'm a big reader. I like to read, you know, books for fun, right? But I also read a lot of the self-development books because it helps open up the blind windows that we have about ourselves, and helps us think of how we can do things better, right? And also, just like Chief Mueller said, learning to connect with other people at their level, right? But I'm a big reader, and I'm a big advocate for reading because there's so much information in a book. You can't watch a video and think you're going to get all the information. You can't go, oh, I'm not going to read the book, I'm going to watch the movie. No, you've missed out on so much knowledge and so much information. If you want to be like ahead of your peers or top of the game, read a book. When you sit here and you read the actual book, you will learn so much more, and you're leaps and bounds ahead of the rest of your peers, because guess what? They're watching YouTube videos and you're reading a book.
Facts. Yes, ma'am. Just to throw a nugget in there, Airman Butler, if you don't know what books to read, just remember that the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, they always have a reading list.
Yeah.
Usually your chiefs do as well. So when I won, I'm like, well, I don't know what to read because there's so much that you could like look to, just kind of lining it up with what your chief, with our Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, his reading list, and then just asking these chiefs, what are they reading? Air University also has a lot of books for free that you can read digitally. So that's my shameless plug in. Okay. I thank you so much, Airman Butler, for coming up here. Did you have anything else before we go to one of your wingmen?
No, thank you. And if you wouldn't have plugged it, I was going to. That was what I've been encouraging people that I work with is our fighter wing has a reading list that we've been running down and trying to discuss to encourage participation.
Absolutely. It sounds like you're spot on there. Good. It's good to have that confirmation. Thank you so much again. I'm going to take one of the airmen. Airman Granados. So I'm going to read his question. As COVID-19 eventually simmers down and time marches on, how is the Air Force looking to move forward and return to a sense of normalcy? Good morning, Airman Granados. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you, ma'am. How are you?
Good. Can you tell everybody what your background is, like what's your what career field you're in, what squadron you're assigned to?
Yes, ma'am. I am maintenance. I am an F-16 crew chief assigned to the buzzards.
I like that. Okay. So I'm gonna read his question one more time. Thank you so much for joining us
Yes,
this
ma'am.
afternoon. Okay, his question, as COVID-19 eventually simmers down and time marches on, how is the Air Force looking to move forward and return to a sense of normalcy?
I'll just take a stab at it. So just in my opinion, in my view, I see that it's not going to go back to the way it was before. It's definitely going to be a new normal. So I think that we've found ways to continue to do our job. We've found ways to continue to professionally develop and personally develop individuals like this forum right here and the Quarantine University and different things like that. So I think that this pandemic has showed us that we can think outside the box and we can continue to do the mission in different ways. So I think that we'll continue forward and do this. I think we've found that there's some wonderful opportunities in this time. So I think that just from my view, I've noticed we've made some great strides just in during this challenging time.
Good answer, Chief. Emma Granados, how do you feel personally about it while you're going through this, but you're new to the Air Force? So this, you really don't have a lot of experience to like kind of compare this to what normal really was, just depending on how long you've been in. So how do you feel? Do you feel like your leadership is taking care of you? Do you have like the good information that's coming towards you? How do you feel?
I feel like our leadership is doing the best that they can to take care of us. And it's in maintenance, it's been trippy because we are flying more sorties. So it's been more of a workload. But the impressive thing is that we've actually managed to pull it off. They divided our shifts and everything was the schedules were redesigned. And in that, we somehow ended up flourishing and generating more sorties than normal, even while stretched more thin. And it's kind of shown, if anything, to me, I want to say that I'm trying to think of the right word here. A lot of resiliency, even when like the rules made it maintenance a lot more stringent because with social distancing and then us having to break protocols a lot and new protocols having to be implemented to allow maintenance to continue to act as we need to get these jets in the air. It's really shown that we're able to persevere through this, and it really showed the Air Force's flexibility, and it's kind of impressed me. It's left a mark on me. I'm definitely impressed with the way our leadership handled it and the way they did whatever they could, even rotating our schedules to Panamas and 5 on and 5 off to give us the breaks that we need because we are working harder. And really, I was just really impressed with the way that this is handled because I thought it was going to be a lot more of a mess than it did end up being.
That's really good to hear. And I like your candid feedback. And I think for me, when we first started going through this and I was a little nervous, just looking at our force, if we look at our chiefs, take the chiefs that are on this panel, for instance, a lot of them have gone through drastic changes while they've served. I came in after 9/11, but they know what the Air Force was like before 9/11. And I'm pretty sure once 9/11 hit, to kind of hear the war story, so to speak, of how our force, how the nation had to adjust on the fly, where individuals could, at one point, I think I was told, like, could come on base with just showing their ID card, or wasn't as stringent as you and I, immigrants, know it to be. So I say that to say, when I look and I think about the things that we've already had to go through as a nation, I have trust and peace in our leadership, because I'm like, man, if they made it through 9/11 and they made it through Desert Storm, all these other different big things that have taken place, then I'm like, okay, let me just give them a second to kind of adjust. But it's good to hear your feedback on that, that you are impressed. So make sure you tell your leaders that, because that's a lot of pressure. And there is no book, there's guidance, but there's no book of how it's supposed to be done. So I think that your leadership would definitely love to hear that positive feedback. Do you have any follow-up questions for them?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, thank you so much. Chiefs, did anybody want to piggyback off of that or say anything before we let Amber Granados fall back a little bit?
I'd love to jump in on there. I will say, if you're waiting for the Air Force to return to normal, I don't know what normal is. I've been in the Air Force for 25 years. What I'm doing today is definitely not what I thought I was going to do. We continuously change. Hopefully, I can't provide normalcy because I don't know what the mission's going to require tomorrow. Hopefully, as leaders, we provide a sense of security so that as you're trying new things, as you're trying to figure out your schedule and something fails, you feel secure in knowing that we have your back. You know that, hey, we're going to try this new schedule. It's not working. You're not able to keep your social distance. You feel secure enough to say that. That's not normalcy because I can't provide that, but hopefully the security is what we're looking for.
Absolutely. Well said, Chief. Thank you. And Amber Granados, thank you again. We'll go to a live question. All right, this is from Tech Sergeant Neef. It says, Tech Sergeant Neef, here stationed in Sicily. Have you ever been told that you come off too strong or you are intimidating others? How do you change your approach without feeling like you need to change your entire personality? I need some nuggets from that. So let's start with Chief Whitlow, please.
Ooh, I've been told I've had a strong personality my whole life. Okay. And I get it, right? Yes, I've been told I have a strong personality. I've been told I'm intimidating. I've been told, oh, you just look mean. I'm like, what? I'm the nicest person. Like, what? First off, don't change who you are. That is the best thing about you is who you are, because can't nobody else be you, right? I've been told I need to tone this down or do certain things. And for the most part, in certain situations, yes, you do navigate situation and know when to speak, when to be a certain way or whatnot. Yes. However, me and my personality, that makes me who I am. That's why I am where I am, right? And I wouldn't change that for the world. And I'm telling you right now, don't change anything. Just maybe in certain situations, you may have to tone down a little bit. Short little story. So I like to joke and I clown all the time. However, I had moved into a new office at Spangdahlem and I was going to be the NCYC over the CSS and personnel in the EMS squadron, right? And they were working like long hours and so forth. And I made a joke and said, oh my gosh, these airmen look pitiful. They've been here working 12, 13 hours. I'm joking, right? But then I realized when a couple of months later, they told me that, oh man, when you said that, I was mad. I didn't think I was going to like you and blah, blah, blah. And that was an eye-opening for me, like, know my audience before I start clowning or know my audience before I say certain things. So I'm telling you that situation as in kind of, learn your audience before you start unleashing your full personality, because we may not know how to take it. Even now, I still talk to those airmen. They're doing great. One's a tech, one's a master, just to let you know, I still kept that relationship going. I did apologize. I didn't mean it like that. So that was a lesson for me. So just those little things, but take accountability when you do kind of offend someone a little bit when you don't mean to, do apologize. But long story short, don't change who you are. That is who you are. And people need you and your personality. So don't change that. That's all I got.
Is there anyone else, any other chiefs?
Hey, good morning. So this is kind of like way back when I was an airman going for BTZ. And, after I finished the panel, one of the feedbacks was that I came off as arrogant. And I was like, me arrogant? Like, I've never seen myself as being arrogant. But then one of the other panel members pulled me aside and was like, it wasn't arrogant, it was confidence. So I was like, am I not supposed to be confident? And they're like, no, that's who you are. And I was like, I had to like check myself and think, I don't think I've ever given this attitude of, I'm greater or anything like that. But at that point, I'd done several boards. And so it was like, oh man, another board. So I felt like I was confident in doing those boards. And I feel like in any situation, at any job I'm going to, if I'm going into brief a general or whomever, I need to be confident in what I'm saying. And so I had to realize that I can't change that person's impression of me. And like Chief Whitlow was saying, you can only be you. So I can only be myself. And if that comes off as arrogant to someone else, then maybe they need to look into some issues that they may have. So yeah, just stay true to yourself. That's my advice.
Chief Blair, I kind of want to come to you because you are more of an introvert. So if you've had anyone who was Sergeant Eve and has been potentially, I'm assuming, has been told that their personality was too strong, if you had to supervise that individual or you really wanted to show them mentorship, I found that someone with a strong personality, having the perception of both and both of those individuals in my corner allowed me to see how I was coming off to someone whose personality may not be like mine naturally. So you as a leader, if you are the complete opposite, if you are an introvert and you're leading someone who is strong, have you had any challenges or what have you done because you could still find good mentorship even if that person's personality is not the same as yours?
I'm a big strengths-based leadership. My strength is not necessarily to be out in front and be in that loud personality. However, I completely agree. I think one of my strengths is letting those loud personalities shine and letting them take that front row and helping them temper some of that sometimes because everybody needs to temper some things. Sometimes I need to be out front. So I need to go to my loud friends and say, hey, how do I handle that? And sometimes I think that people that tend to be told that they have a little bit loud personality, it's usually emotional. They get very emotional and very fast, or they're clowning. And so just that step back, that self-reflection that we talked about earlier, say, hey, are you doing this because you're overexcited in this situation? Are you doing this because that's what's needed sometimes? We're all needed. That tell you, I have seen people that later come back and tell people, hey, you were a little intimidating in that situation. That situation required intimidation. And you might think that, but a lot of times those people were willing to come back to you and tell you that you were intimidating. You weren't that intimidating because they were willing to approach you and tell you that.
True story. That's a good one. Okay, let me make sure we get through the rest of our airmen from Aviano. All right, Airman Regoza. So as he's coming up to the front, I'm going to read his question. It says, what is the best advice you can pass down to junior enlisted members who plan on staying in the Air Force? Airman Regoza, good morning, sir. How are you doing? Or afternoon for you?
Morning, Chief, afternoon. I'm doing great. It's nice to hear from you all.
So what's your job and what squadron are you assigned to?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm part of 31 FSS. I'm a personalist. And then so I fall under Senior Shannon's leadership. So yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna read one more time. What is the best advice you can pass down to junior enlisted members who plan to stay in the military?
Okay, I guess I'll take a shot at this one. I'd say set goals. Set your goals, find mentors, and continue to build on that. So if this is what you want to make your career, you should look at the career pyramid. I'm not sure, medical, we have a medical enlisted career pyramid. So I'm not sure if your AFSC has that, but take a look at that and then hook up with some great mentors to help you get to where you want to be and invest in what you want to do. So you want to invest into your career longevity into the military. So do those things that we've already previously said, get the education, professional development, all those things that you need to do to accomplish where you want to go.
That's a good one, ma'am. Any other chiefs?
I would just say an initiative. So make sure that you have the initiative to go out there and look for these things. You need to stay hungry and be passionate about what you're doing. If you're bored of the job, find other opportunities. So as a personnelist, specifically as a personnelist, you should know the opportunities that are available with retraining and Equal Plus and things like that. So and find mentors, just like Chief Castro said. That's very, very important. So you have to take the initiative, though.
It's a good one, Chief. And Maregoza, do you have a follow-up question, sir?
I don't know. I thought I was muted, but no, I think the responses were really good, and I mean, yep, that's basically all I had.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna read I think we have one more. Yes, A1C Jean-Pierre. What has been the highlight of your career besides making chief? I'm gonna read it one more time. What has been the highlight of your career besides making chief?
I think one of my highlights was, you know, social media is a little strange, but truly my highlight was came on Facebook. I was just scrolling through one day, and I saw a post from somebody that I used to supervise when he was an airman. We had not kept in touch, but about 10 years later, he posted something about the best advice he had ever gotten, and it was something I had told him. It's not something that I thought I would be seeing later, or something that I had thought about. And so the highlight of my career is knowing that I've had an effect on people, and that, you know, we all retire at some point, passing things on and seeing other people's growth. That has absolutely been a highlight, is knowing that I have an effect on something.
Good response, Chief. All right, Airman Jean-Pierre, how are you doing this morning or afternoon for you, sir?
Good afternoon. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So can you please introduce yourself and tell us what unit you're assigned to and what's your career field?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Emma Jean-Pierre. I'm stationed here at Aviano. I'm a part of the 31 Comptroller Squadron, Finance. So yeah.
Money man. All right. Hey, Chiefs, anyone else want to kind of answer that one?
I think Chief Blair, she hit it right on the head. Like, my highlight is seeing my airmen promote and progress and going off to do great things, because then I've done my job. It's not really about me promoting or me doing whatever. If I helped you get to that next platform, whatever it is, whether you stayed in to become a chief or you went off and did something in the civilian world you've always wanted to do, that's great. That's awesome. If you're succeeding, I'm succeeding, we all succeed, we good.
Good. That's a good one. Airman Pierre, do you have any follow-up questions for the Chiefs?
Just have a quick question about how do you all as women, how do you connect with us as males, as your airmen? Because I have a chief who's a woman as well, and I try to find ways to connect with her. Sometimes you keep it professional, but you joke with her and stuff like that. We talk about family, that type of stuff. So
that's an amazing question. That's a good follow-up question. Chief Mueller, you want to take that one, ma'am?
I think he answered his own question. You said, you know, you have conversations, casual conversations, and you're comfortable, you know, having those conversations, talking about family and work and keeping it professional. That's really how you know, having that kind of interaction with either a male or a female in any given type of situation or day, it's that professionalism and that respect, you know, that mutual respect. And really that's really what it boils down to is when you're having a conversation with somebody, you want to treat them the way that you want to be treated. And so I'll treat my male counterparts, my male subordinates, the same way I'm going to treat my female subordinates or my male counterparts or peers. So really, it is all about in respecting each other and boundaries. So
that's a good response.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Airman Pierre. We're getting short on time, so we want to take one more from the audience before we do our closing. I thank you so much, Airman Pierre, for joining us and making time, sacrificing your time or volunteering your time to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right. All right, Chiefs, this is the last one. This is coming from Facebook Live. How do you handle those that take your passion and taking care of your subordinates as being emotional? I know a lot of females get told to take your emotion out of it. I'll read it one more time. How do you handle those that take your passion and taking care of your subordinates as being emotional? I know a lot of females get told to take your emotion out of it.
I will say that there's something different between being overly emotional and being emotional. There is nothing wrong with being emotional. I am a person. I am passionate. Passion is an emotion. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm happy. Most of the time, people want to know that you're a real live person. And if you're a real live person without emotion, you have a problem. So there's a difference between letting your emotions rule you when maybe logic needs to come in. But this is, leading people is not about the TO. You can't TO how to lead people. If you do not have the emotional intelligence to recognize your own emotion and to recognize the emotion around you, you're probably gonna fail.
That's a good one. I think sometimes the challenge as a female is knowing when someone is actually giving you constructive criticism where you may be a little emotional, or this just may be an attack. They're trying to hit below the belt because that's a go-to to say, to kind of get a rise out of you. So when you all are faced with that, how do you maneuver through that? Because I've seen sometimes where it's done in front of others. And you are a human at the end of the day, like you said. But there is a difference. And so if you all have been put in that situation, how do you navigate between the two?
You just have to push through it and continue with the point that you're trying to get across. Because I've been in situations where I've just wanted to just scream and or cry, and my ears would just turn bright red. But I would just, take a deep breath and push through with what point it is that I'm trying to make. Because if you focus on what they're trying to get you to focus on, which is, oh, you're too emotional. No, I'm not. You might think that I'm emotional and I may be passionate, but this is the point that I'm trying to get across, and this is what I need you to understand. And this is where the aggressive part of that conversation may come into play. But if you continue, maintaining professionalism and logic, and same what Chief Blair was saying, emotional intelligence is really an important factor to have for someone, for anyone. And so, yeah, you just gotta push through and maintain your professionalism.
Absolutely. That was a good response. So we're getting short on time. So I want to first thank our Aviano Airmen. A lot of times you all could be doing anything. You all did not have to do this. And so I definitely thank you for volunteering your time for something that I think that is needed, and getting your voice heard and speaking on behalf of the airmen who are your peers. This is not light. This is something I hope you are present in this moment and know the opportunity that you all have. For our chiefs, I did want to do a wrap up with you all. Just any final thoughts that you want to leave with the Facebook Live. I thank Quarantine University, and I definitely thank the individuals who have tuned in on Facebook Live for this. And so before we say goodbye, chiefs, each one, if you all have anything you want to wrap up, any shout outs, any of that, please do so at this time. So we're going to start the same way we did our intros with Chief Timmerman.
I'll just say thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you for all those that have tuned in. This is definitely personal and professional development for you. So I appreciate that you're listening in, and just keep the chats going and we'll answer questions offline.
Absolutely. Chief Mueller.
Yeah, just saying thanks for the opportunity. It was really great listening to all the different perspectives and hearing these awesome questions. And I know I learned a few things. And so this is an amazing forum. And thank you to you and your team, ma'am, for putting this together and getting this out there. So I just want to say thanks.
Thank you.
Great work.
Thank you, ma'am.
To Aviano EO office.
All right, Chief Blair, over to you, ma'am.
I just want to echo the thank you. Thank you for your team. This is definitely not easy. Thank you for the airmen that joined us. Thank you to the sister chiefs for sharing your wisdom. It's definitely always fun to do this. And know that when you see a need or you have a question, reach out, because somebody's out there waiting to answer.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Chief Castro, I'm gonna jump to you, ma'am.
Thank you. This was amazing. It's great seeing Tracy. Hello. And all of my other sister chiefs. And I want to just relate to all the airmen out there. We're available. We're on global. I'm putting myself out there. If you have questions, you need assistance, you want someone to review a record, I've said on 3 promotion boards, I will be more than happy to review a record. Just look me up on the global and send me an email, and I will I'll do that for you. If you have any questions or any advice that you need, we are here and we are readily available.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Chief. All right, Chief Whitlow.
Again, Sergeant Campbell, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is the second time. I love it. It's awesome. To echo what Chief Castro said, yes, look me up on the global. Personnel for the past, 23 years. If you need help with anything, I'm here for you. Chief Timmerman, it was great seeing you. Probably don't remember me, but that's okay. I remember you, and you were awesome. So it goes back into, you don't know whose lives you touch that you may not even remember. She's touched my life, and I remember. So thank you for being who you are. And awesome to see all my sister chiefs. I hope to see you guys again across the Air Force. If you need anything, hit me up. Thank you.
All right. Master Sergeant LaVan, we're going to go ahead and end the Facebook Live portion. So Chiefs, Airmen that's on the Zoom, please stand by. Thank you all again. So we'll be back this afternoon with a different set of Chiefs and the Q&A session. We don't have any Airmen that's scheduled for this afternoon. So it'll be a Q&A session through the Facebook Live. So please give us your feedback, thoughts, comments, any of that. Thank you again, Chiefs and Airmen.